Hi, it's Scott from Zayden Guitars. Just another little update on my Carvin rebuild. Video 2. Yeah, I've got all the hardware stripped out. I was going to film removing all the hardware, but it was going to take about 30 minutes and a lot of me banging the guitar around and dropping it out of camera shot, etc, etc. So what I've done is pretty much removed it all and got all the hardware off the guitar, and I'll just show you basically where we're at. Okay, so we're looking at the body here. See my fingerprints all over it. Now, one of the main concerns I had when I did my last video was actually the holes for the Floyd Rose. So I've got the screws out. So that's them. That's the old style. I will not be putting them back in because, yeah, I don't like them. I'd rather put the new modern style ones in. So I've got the Floyd. So I will take the strings out of there later. I'll probably buy some new blocks. But if you look at the brass block here, you can see, I thought originally that it was an aftermarket one, but it looks like somebody's actually cut it down to make it fit the guitar. Now, I've done this in the past, so you can see it's not even square. So it looks like somebody's cut a little bit off because the guitar's too narrow in thickness. And you just cut a little bit off the block and you can make it fit and not bang into the back of the cavity. So not unusual. I generally cut it off the other side, to be honest, where it screws on. I pull the bridge apart, and then there's underneath these blocks here, there's some screws. Just unscrew it and I've cut it off, and that way when you look at the end of the block it looks natural. But yeah, somebody's done a bit of a rough job there, but anyway. It's not affecting the playability. I might even just tidy that up with a file and clean it up. But yeah, so that's the block. These are actually, the old style ones are actually going for a lot of money nowadays. They're hard to come by. So that's that. So I will be moving these holes. I'll draw a center line down the middle of the neck, bring it through here, and then mark off either way to get that right. And what else we got going on at the top? I've removed you can see the surface of the guitar. You can see it's got a bit of a damage there, so I wasn't too gentle with it when I was pulling everything apart. I wasn't too fussed with it's all coming off. So there is a couple of really fine hairline cracks in the ebony, which is natural. I've seen it before, so I'll put some really runny super glue in that, bleed it into the cracks, and then sand it down so you can't see it. Now, on this, I did mention previously that there was some fret wear, so you can really pick it up in this light. So what I'm going to do is dress down these frets and see if I can save it, because there's one saving grace where I thought, well, if I take them down too much, I'm going to have the nut sitting too high. But if you look, I've removed the nut and there is a little packer underneath. So what I can do is, once I take a skim off these frets, I'll take a little skim off the bottom of that. I'll put a smaller shim in there. So that little shim's obviously packing it up there. This is the juicy stuff you see once you pull your guitar apart. So when everything's bolted together, you don't really notice it. So that'll sit there. So by taking those frets down, obviously the strings would sit too high on the first fret. So by doing it this way, yeah, and removing that shim, either removing the shim, we'll see how it goes. But at least it gives me a bit of play. I'm quite happy about that. So the frets will get redressed. I'll give it a go and see how much material I have to remove. So there's a couple of quite bad ones. You know, it was played. People like playing their A's and their D's. Right, what else we got? Headstock is in pretty good nick. What I will do is when I'm working on it, I'm going to tape it off so it doesn't get any scratches, and then what I'm going to do is cut and polish the current lacquer that's on there and bring it up back to nice and shiny. So we'll be saving that, and that'll be the only part of the guitar that won't get touched, basically. So we'll tape that up in time. And I've got the neck pockets there. Nothing really else on top. On the back, we've got the cavity. They put some tin foil. I did notice a name. I might Google it later. You got T. Miller. So I might find out who that is. Maybe on a Carvin website I can find out who T. Miller is, whether it's a lady or a man, the guy that put the guitar together, or the lady that did. Back of the neck, I'll take off all this paint. Now the machine heads, all the tuners, actually Carvin brand, they're actually in really good nick. They had a 10mm nut on them, so I've kind of got a feeling that they might be a Shaler, just rebranded with the Carvin on them. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, that's them. They're in good nick, so I'm pretty happy with that. So they will be going back on. Got the truss rod cover off. Here's the electronics. So I try and, with the electronics, I try and keep it together as much as I possibly can. So just makes it easier to put everything back together. So I've got the pickups. So it does have SD written on the back, but it's not a Seymour Duncan. I'm pretty sure they're Carvin. So we've got the 3 wires. So one goes to the switches, and the others go to the ground. So I'll have to rewire them all up. Yeah. So that'll be exciting. So there is a white wire in there that looks like it's just tied off. Okay. So sorry, I'm just talking to myself. So what else we got? So we got the pickups, got the Floyd, got the wiring, got the knobs off. They just come off with them. Got a grub screw in them, so I'll fix that up. So in the back, this is all going to come off. You can see now in this light, there's a bit of damage. And then, like I said in the previous video, there's a bit of damage just there. You can see, obviously it's a hanger, and that's broken off. No, not broken off, sorry, dented. Got the jack plate, made in the USA. So I'll give that a polish up and get the scratches out of it. 24217. So I think it's an 88 or 89, so that's where we're at with that one. So that's the jack plate. That goes in there. Look, and if you're stripping guitars and you haven't done it before, I just chuck everything in one spot carefully because I don't want the tuners to get damaged. But I know where everything goes back, so I'm not too fussed about the screws and whatnot. I'm going to have to replace a lot of the screws. These plates here pretty much we're missing all their screws. So yeah, that's where we're at. So basically the next video is going to be me trying to work out how I'm going to get this paint off. I'm hoping it'll come off with some paint stripper. There's no binding or anything like that, so I don't have to worry about the binding getting damaged, but I'm hoping it'll come off with some paint stripper, or I'm going to have to sand it off, which is back-breaking. So with a bit of luck, it'll come off with a bit of sandpaper. So that's where we're at. Next probably thing I'll do is I'll tape that headstock off, and then yes, this comes the graft. So it's definitely a bit lighter without the pickups in, but it's still quite a heavy guitar. You can see it's maple all the way through. So yeah, I'll keep you up to date, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.